Now through the end of the month, save $300 on the whole ball of wax at L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com. The whole ball of wax includes just about everything at the site, and when you use the code SPRINGRUSH at checkout, we will instantly drop $300 off the already amazing low price. Details are in the show notes.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, as you know, I love learning from so many great people in the industry, and I don't take it for granted some of the friendships and relationships we've been able to build along the way. We've got one of the guys that I just absolutely admire, look up to. He's got a jamming company, jamming business, great business mind, and just offers so much value to our industry, and that is my man, Corey Ballard, over there in Des Moines, Iowa. So, Corey, what's up, brother? Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good, buddy. Glad to be on. I don't think it's Des Moines, but we'll let you pronounce it any way you feel comfortable, Brian. I mean, you were just here. It's Des Moines. Let's keep it simple.
Des Moines.
You were just out seeing us. Yeah. So it's lovely and 80 degrees and grass is green and we're rocking and rolling. So it's nice.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, we've been slinging mulch like crazy. The guys will be wrapping up 130 yards of mulch this week. I feel like a stockbroker. You know, the season busted, about 2 weeks ago, like the dam burst, 20 calls a day. Just the flood bank is open, man. So are you guys experiencing the similar stuff over there? You guys are pretty much the same, Midwest. So I would imagine you guys are in the same boat.
Yeah, we've been rolling for a while. I mean, with us being primarily, 100% commercial, all of our stuff is contract work. So we know exactly what's coming in. So it's not like our phone rings and we take on more work, but we are running gangbusters with everybody. And, we're actually not cutting grass. That starts Monday. I don't know when this will air, but we're starting that Monday. And, but yeah, we've got our mulching teams out, landscape construction crews running, our fertilization and weed control guys are all running out, getting their round one pre-emergent down. And so we're fully staffed and running in all three locations. And, it's nice. This is my favorite time of year. It's stressful and hectic, and I'm not even involved in the day-to-day, but I love seeing, I went down to our shop that you just were at last week, and I just love seeing no blue trucks in the parking lot. Like everything's out.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's nice to know that all of there's a few trucks sitting around, but normally when 2 weeks ago, there was 70 trucks parked there. Now it's like, there's 5 or 6. And I'm like, I know we got guys working and they're excited to get back out and the weather's been great. So, yeah, we're excited to kick off the season. We had a light winter like a lot of areas did, but, nothing we can do about that. We can just get the season rocking and get out there and get rolling. We're fully staffed, which is nice. And, I know a lot of people aren't, but we've worked really hard recruiting again all winter and our retainage is better than ever. So we're fully staffed and we're out there getting some work done.
And that's solid. Cause like I said, when I was there, it was only a week ago, I think, right? I don't even,
Yep.
Life is just like, it just goes so fast. Like it's just a blur. I actually, if you guys heard a recent podcast episode I did, I attempted to get out to Des Moines twice. One time, and then I actually did get to make it out there. I tried to go there on a Wednesday. Once a year, I try to get over to Corey's side of town. We do a lot with the Ballard products. You guys know Corey's got Ballard products, the accessory business, which is literally blowing up like crazy, especially the last 4 or 5 years. But that was a rough Wednesday, though, when I did try to fly out about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, by the time you guys hear this podcast. There was a huge wall of storms that went from like, I don't know, Corey, like Alabama all the way to almost Canada. And it was like Tornado Alley the whole way through. We were getting tornado warnings, which was wild. And so when I would have taken off is when I would have landed right in the smack of this like, system that was moving through. And we're talking like a solid thick red band, like, 2,000 miles long through the country. And everybody's in the airport, Corey, all like, it's 6 a.m. Everybody's like 7 a.m., then 8 a.m. because we're getting delays and people are like getting fussy and pissed off. And it's like, bro, we're going to land and there's like, 70 mile an hour, like winds and tornadoes in the area, right? Like this is, and I'm like, I don't understand how people get frustrated with circumstances like that. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it is what it is. But good news, actually, Corey. One thing I did tell you, though, is I just got the laptop back that I lost on the airplane. It just came in this morning. Yeah, so
that's a miracle. That's actually a miracle in itself, because I mentioned that I'd left an iPad on an airplane, and I went back on the airplane literally 5 minutes after I deboarded. Like, they let me right back on, which they don't typically do, and it was just gone. I'm like, I was just sitting here. It was just gone.
That's brutal.
But yeah, so that worked out good, because I assume you have a lot of stuff on that's probably pretty important. And, I mean, even if it backs up and, backs up to the cloud or whatever, there's still things on there that usually on all of our devices that are pretty important.
Well, I mean, it's just like, your I don't know what I was still logged into, right? That's what was more concerning. Like, I know you like Chase Bank logs you out and, Huntington logs you out, but at the same point, am I still logged into YouTube? Am I still logged in all these different things? And like, am I still logged into the computer? I've got nothing to hide. I got no skeletons in the closet, so I couldn't care what anybody finds. But at the same time, I don't want like my bank account's getting drained or do just wild stuff. And then you start realizing like, oh, no problem. I'll just turn on like the Find My iPhone thing. Well, it wasn't turned on the laptop for whatever reason. It was a newer laptop from 2 years ago. I guess we just never did it. So here's one quick helpful tip. If you guys take anything away from this podcast episode, barring any situations, like turn your freaking Find My iPhone or Find My phone back on. If you haven't looked at that recently, just go to Find My. Because, man, like, it's something that you don't plan on. Just like when you get an accident, like checking your insurance, hopefully everything's good and paid up. Well, same thing with the laptop, losing a $3,000-$4,000 laptop. That is not a fun morning. You want to talk about sweating bullets. I was like, great, I'm going to basically work for free for the next week or two. That's always exciting. So any which way. Yeah, any which way.
And it's the inconvenience. On top, it's not even, for me, sometimes it's not even the money. It's just the inconvenience of like getting a new phone, and then I don't remember my password and all my stuff. It's
3 hours. 3 hours later.
Yeah. 3 hours at the store, and that to me is I absolutely hate stuff like that. I just have zero patience for going to the Apple store and trying to get a new phone, and they're like, "What's your login?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know. I don't know.
You and me both, man. It's like, I don't know, dude. I use the Face ID, obviously nowadays, and but yeah, Liz hates the store even so much more than both of us combined. Corey, she just sends me. Liz is like, I'm like, I think I need like to put your face on the Face ID. She goes, okay, well, when you come home, I'll circle my face one time so it scans my face for Siri, and then after that, she goes, I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad to be your executive assistant. But anyway, so funny story there. But I did get to make it out to your guys' neck of the woods, man. It was a great time. You've got so much stuff happening with not only Perfect Cut, which you're still pretty involved in the day to day. So I don't know if you want to expound upon that, but also the Ballard products, man. You guys have so much stuff going on that like is so inspiring too. Like not only from building a business and hiring good people, but you're building a shop. You guys have so much stuff that's groundbreaking. Business has just been like astronomical the last 5 years. So there's a couple things that I'm sure we can dance upon and talk about, but I'll leave it up to you with maybe getting these guys up to speed since we had you on, maybe last fall in the winter talking snow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much most of your listeners, if they follow you and follow anything in lawn care, I mean, know that, we've got Perfect Cut, which is a full service site management company, doing primarily commercial work. And we've got 3 branch locations. So Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and then Omaha. We just also had an acquisition in our Cedar Rapids market, of a pretty large company. I can't speak too much on it, but, a company that has, 55 employees. So there's going to be an acquisition going on over there. So that really makes us the dominant market player in the Eastern Iowa area, which is Iowa City, Cedar Rapids. And, so we're excited about that. I'm involved, but I'm not involved in the day-to-day. I've got an incredible group of people that are dialed in. And, I stepped away from the day-to-day, I believe 4 years ago now, when I was trying to balance Perfect Cut and Ballard. And, Brian, I just wasn't doing either one of them any justice. And I wasn't giving, I couldn't give either one of them 100%. And I don't like that. I felt like, I felt kind of like an imposter. I'm like, I'm going in and I'm kind of doing half this and I'm doing half that. And I don't like to do that. And I had to really do some soul searching and I met with my business partner, Matt Bowman, and said, hey, Matt, like, I just think I need to step away, bud. And, he'd been with me forever. And you want to be the president? I don't care about the title. I'll step away. And so, we did that, but I go to our Tuesday meetings. I'm still involved with our strategy. I'm really aware of what's going on. We still own, all the buildings. So we're making a lot of upgrades always to our facilities. And some of them are forced by our county, for adequate parking and adequate, storage and all those things. And, when you own real estate, you got to keep it up. And that's something we talk about a lot. Matt and I do is, you got to fix things when they're broken. You got to paint when it needs painted. Otherwise, before long, you end up with a bunch of shitholes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You end up with just buildings that are just a mess. And so, but I'm involved with that. And then, as you mentioned, we've had Ballard products, kind of crazy. I mean, I incorporated that in 1999 and had that business, kind of as a hobby business. And then at one point I had a full-time sales guy and a warehouse guy. And then we kind of downsized again, and I was just really just a hobby business. And about 5 years ago, I was on the brink of, I was either going to shut it down or I was going to focus on it. And that's really when I made the decision to step away from the day-to-day in our lawn and landscape and snow business. And I'm glad I made that decision because I was really close to just shutting it down. And I did some praying on it. I talked to some mentors. I slept on it. I spoke with my wife numerous times, and I said, okay, I think we've got something here. The industry's growing. I know a lot about the industry. Social media has become a great outlet to reach people. And we started the Ballard. We really started pounding the Ballard business. And it is kind of funny at times. People are like, congratulations on your new business. And I'm like, well, it's not that
right.
new.
Right.
But, it feels new because, in the last 3 or 4 years, it's just really exploded with social media, the stuff that we do. Our brand ambassadors like yourself who always are putting out great content and, speaking at events. And so it feels like it's just skyrocketed. And that's given us an opportunity to, just constant. My entire focus is adding new products, and that keeps me excited. And, I've got a great team of people around me, kind of as you mentioned that, we've just got great people on our team, and I just try to stay in my lane. I love the new products. And kind of the overall vision of where we're going to take Ballard. And so that's what we've been doing, working on a bunch of new stuff for this year. And we're going to keep working on new products constantly and not necessarily even to grow. Just if I find that there's a need for something and it makes sense, then that's what we go after.
Yeah. Well, give me like a 2-minute, if you don't mind, about the new shop. Cause you were showing me the plans in person, and I had like the similar set plans for our house. You got the big, 3 foot by 4 foot, big white, architecture plans. I think they're called the set plans or whatever they call it. And you guys had that for the new shop. And I'm like, oh my God, and it's funny. I'm starting to learn how to read these things and what stuff makes sense. And you were just throwing some high levels and whatnot. And if you want to talk about it, if you don't mind, because I think your guys' growth is awesome. I mean, that's 4 or 5 years. You went from, like you said, working out of one bay, if I'm not mistaken, to blowing out the walls at the place you have. And there's 4 or 5 bays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have those 4 warehouse bays full, and then we have 2 off-site warehouses absolutely full, and we still drop ship a lot of products with other third-party vendors, so and warehousing partners. So yeah, it's so we're building a 26,000 square foot office warehouse building. Really excited about it. They're moving dirt now. Utilities are in. They're supposed to pour concrete next week. So yeah, that should be up. They're saying we're going to be in by. They're saying Thanksgiving. I've built enough buildings and homes to know that it's always like just tack on 3 months.
Yeah.
Tack on 3 months and 10%, whatever.
Yeah. Well, they said Thanksgiving, but they didn't tell you it was like Thanksgiving of 24, right? One of those deals.
24, yeah. So, but they go, those commercial buildings do go up pretty quick when you're doing concrete slab walls and those types of things. So we're really excited about it. Our team's excited. And not only to have a great place to work, but you've been to our shop, Brian. It's a mess. It's not efficient. We have product outside. We have product again down the street. We have product at another warehouse about 30 miles away, and so it's just not a great setup. And good problems to have. I've got new stuff that I'm working on. That I've got several new products that I just have right now. Just have postponed because I can't take them in.
Right.
So we've got the products done, prototypes done. We've tested them, and I just can't pull the trigger because, my warehouse manager, Craig's like, Corey, if you get 2,000 of those, what do you want me to do with them? I don't know.
Wow.
And for a while, I'm like, Craig, just figure it out. And he's like, I'm out of figuring it out. Like we're out of, like there's no room. And so I hate to do that, but we're in this for the long term. This is a long play for us. And so I used to have this, like, we got to do it now, sense of urgency. And now I'm like, you know what? I know we got a great product sitting here. We've got all the kinks worked out. We've tested it. Hey, if we launch it, April of 24, then we do. Not a big deal. Let's make sure that we're prepared. And, before I was just like, faster. And now I've kind of just realized that I got to make sure we have the capacity, the room, make sure we can ship, our products out quickly and efficiently, make sure we can back end support the customer service. Because we're getting over 100 phone calls a day. Austin said, my brother, but he's also does our customer support. He said he had over 100 phone calls. Every phone call comes in, we have our phone system tracks calls, and had over 100 calls on Monday alone. And that doesn't count. Those are just technical questions. And then customer service questions go to Shanna and Jamie, and they were on the phone. So I don't think people realize the amount of phone calls and emails we get all day long. And I get some of those at like 8 o'clock at night, like left a voicemail. No one's called me back. And it's like, oh, dude, you left a voicemail at 6 o'clock tonight. Like we'll be there we'll call you back first thing in the morning. But or I called, nobody answered. Like, man, sometimes we're on the other line. Like,
right. Well, I mean, there's times I called Chase Bank after hours 6 or 7 p.m. and it's like, our telephone service is, please call back tomorrow during business hours. But then when you're a small business owner, and again, these are all first world problems, but it's like, how dare you not call me back up till 10 p.m. at night, and it's like, dude, why can't we have the same grace, just give us regular business hours, 8 to 5. And we're all churning and burning through emails and customer support for everything, and clients and all that mess all the time. So all good problems. Yeah, I think people think we're bigger than we are. I mean, we have a small team. I think including my wife and I think we're at 9 or 10 people now. Okay. So I think that they think we have this call center, and we've talked about, potentially having an after hours, company that we outsource the calls to, but that may be frustrating too, Brian. You call at 8 o'clock at night because you got home, and a lot of people, because they want service at night, they get home, they have the kid activities, they have dinner with the wife and kids, they put the kids to bed, and then they jump online and they want to order a product, right? And they have a quick question, and they're like, "Well, no one would take." And it's like, "Well, it's 9 o'clock on a Sunday." Sure.
I think people think that we're bigger than we are, and so I've looked at these call services, and the truth is, if that same guy called in and just had a quick question, and that person's like, "Well, we're just a call center. I can forward it to the office. They'll get it Monday." That doesn't solve the problem, and I think to me, it's almost more frustrating. It's like, so you can't help me,
Yeah.
Thanks for answering, but you're of no service to me. All right, perfect. So
that's awesome.
We're doing our best, and we're excited about it. Again, we have great people and a ton of cool products coming. And just recently we released our Gold blade that I believe is the best blade on the market. I really wanted a premium blade that would be better than what's out there. I know there's a lot of good blades, and that argument can go on forever. But we spent an entire last summer testing those, and I mean numerous times of all kinds of different carbide tungsten cutting edges and different things to really what we believe is going to be the best. I think it's going to be the best blade on the market, hands down. And once people, all the feedback we've got on the ones that have been out have been like, this is the best blade I've ever owned. And
cool.
So we're excited about that. And we got a lot of good stuff coming, and we appreciate all the support. And of course, a lot of guys using your code and several other guys that help promote our products. And so it's good stuff.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, let's do this really quick. Let's take a quick break. I want to hear from today's show sponsors announcements. I'm going to get a quick sip of water, but when we come back, if you got another 5-10 minutes, Corey, while we got you, I wanted to talk about rapid growth and how to make that growth sustainable. Because right now there's a lot of guys growing really quick, and I think it's a relevant question for you. So I'm going to tee it up, because you guys went from like 0 to 10 million in like 10 years or even sooner, from what I understand. And I know a lot of guys out there right now, they're in acquisition mode, they're growing mode. But I think what and this is the part I'd love to have you fill in, is like the building the systems, the team, the company structure, and making sure like you're going to be around and you don't let all the Cheerios, quote unquote, fall off of the bowl or out of the bowl, or quote unquote, put them back in the milk. Like that's a question that I wanted to ask you while we got you on the show, because I think that's something that at your level, you might have some good things to glean in on that I think could help a lot of these guys that are growing, multi-million dollar type businesses. So you got another quick second where we can circle back with you?
Absolutely.
All right, cool deal. Well, guys, let's do this really quick. Let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors announcements, and we're going to come right on back.
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump right back into it. Corey, we're going to go back to you and try to be as respectful as possible of your time. We got about 10 more minutes left, but I'm going to let you talk as long as possible as you can with anything that you think was helpful growing your guys' company, those first early stages, 0 to 5 million, 0 to 10 million. Let me just say this really quick. Funny story. I saw one of the somebody commented on like a Ballard Products post. Like you had said, people think we've only been around for 2 minutes with the Ballard products. And I saw a guy post, and unfortunately, he was just being a butthead. And let's just give the guy the benefit of a doubt. He was like, you guys are selling lawnmower blades. Do you even like mow grass? And I'm like, you do realize like the guy that owns that company also owned top 100 lawn and landscape company in the country, right? Like or top 150. I'm like, they're top 25 snow, top 150 lawn and landscape, or whatever it was. I said, yeah, they've cut a couple blades of grass. So hit block and delete, but any which way. So I did want to talk about that because I was visiting another great guy, Sam, with Etch Outdoor just down the road, and they're like growing like crazy. The paint's barely dry, like they just came out with their employee handbook. It's like, just put together with pink and shears. I'm just kidding. But like, they're growing so fast. And I told Sam, I'm like, how are you guys moving this quick? And so I think that's a question that relates to probably a lot of guys out there growing from 1 to 10 million. So how did you guys do it? Like that's my biggest question is how did you guys grow so fast and keep it all together?
Yeah. I mean, it's, of course, that was a long time ago, Brian, and things have certainly changed a lot. Back in the beginning, Perfect Cut, we were doubling every year, and we went from, me and a truck, and then to 2 trucks. And, it didn't take very long. And we were, at 5 million, 10 million. I can tell you a few of the mistakes that we made, which were, not getting the back end systems in place. From the beginning. And of course, back then there wasn't the educational pieces that we have now from podcasts, YouTube, software. There was only a couple of choices of software. We signed on with Clip software back in the day, and it had just a routing piece. There was still no customer CRM, and there was no interaction with invoicing and billing. And so, for us in the very beginning, it was just the old fashioned, put your head down, go to work. Let's just work. And that really ultimately hurt us later because when we tried to get the systems in place, it's really hard to get your arms around it when you have 50, 60, 70 employees. But I think in today's, world, there are companies that are kicking butt. You mentioned Sam Rankin. There's companies like his that are growing extremely fast. I think Sam's in his mid-20s. I could be wrong.
Yeah, 25, 26, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll do like 3 million or something.
He's a 25-year-old guy. Yeah, running a $3 million company. And he's really got a good head on his shoulders. But I've seen a lot of companies over the years get to 3 to 5 million and start to fail. And so it's easier, I believe, to get there than it is to actually stay there and continue to grow. I think at some point the owners start to accept mediocrity at some point. And I know, I think after a while you're that's just how it is. Our trucks used to look good, but now they look okay. And we used to do kick-ass work, but now we do pretty good work. But that's kind of part of growing. And so they start to, accept things that they wouldn't accept when they were little. And, you have to, as the company grows, the standards have to continue to be the same and sometimes even higher. And so for us, it was really setting up, accountability, job titles, job roles and responsibilities, making sure we have the right people in the right seats, which gets said a lot. But, we screwed a lot of things up where we would have a guy that's been with us 7 or 8 years and we make him a manager, right, Brian? He's been with us 7 years, but he's not management material. He's a great technician, but we'll make him a manager and then he fails, right? And what ends up happening is you can't really take him back and put him in the field. So you end up ultimately losing that employee altogether. So I think it's just super important to look at your team, figure out who your A players are. I think where most guys are failing is they're not communicating. Like, does everybody know what your core values are? Do you know what your core values are? Are you talking about them to your team? Do they know what the growth strategies are? Do they know that there's opportunity in your company? And if there is opportunity, what would it take for them to get there? When we do our reviews twice a year, we do our reviews with our employees. We have them grade themselves, and then we also grade them. So there's a series of questions. They grade themselves from a 1 to 5. We grade them from a 1 to 5. And then we give them, 3 things that they need to do. Like, hey, I'd really like to move up in this company. Okay, well, we need to get, you need to get your pesticide license. We'd love you to get a CDL, whatever it may be. But we really work on trying to mentor and grow our people. And I think most companies, and Brian, you do some, a lot of consulting, especially people that work, they have no idea where the owner is going with the company. And I'm like, why is the owner not talking to their team about, hey guys, this is where we are. This is where we'd like to be. This is what it's going to take from all of us to get there. So, for us, we always were super clear in our communication of growth, opportunity. When someone comes in for an orientation, we show a video and we tell some stories, and we have some employees tell some stories how they started as ground labor and now they're maybe running a division or running an entire branch. So we can give them, some inspiration like, hey, if I want a job, if you just want a job and you want to make $16 an hour, $18 an hour, we got that for you as well. If you want a career, we're going to help get you there. And our goal is to, make people the best version of themselves as possible. And even if they leave, and I say this a lot, man, even if they leave, I still want them to leave better than when they started. I want to be like, you know what? I worked at Perfect Cut. Man, what a great company.
Sure.
And so we just do a lot of things with our people. And, you were out, Brian, we did this little fun game, but the answer to almost every question is when you talk about companies that are successful or not successful or growing or not growing, it's people. We've had some great people on the Green Grind podcast. Shameless plug there, but we've had some this year. I've been really focused on having big people on the podcast. Everybody that's running a company, 5 million and up, they don't talk about trucks. They don't even really talk about how to get accounts. It's all about how do we create culture in people? How do we keep our people? How do we love our people? How do we give them opportunities? How do we make sure that we can take care of them and their families? So long answer there, but for the companies that want to grow, man, you've got to be super dialed in as an owner and as a leader, and you've got to communicate with your people. They've got to know what's going on, and there's got to be clear expectations, and there's got to be accountability. We screwed this up, Brian. We kept people for way longer. It's always that I can't afford to lose them, and it's like I know, but man, if you've got somebody in your organization that's just maybe they're really good in the field, but they're just a terrible employee. And that happens a lot. You got to let them go. And it's tough, man. It's so tough. Like, I remember letting some people go. Like, I remember account managers are like, so the trucks are going to be parked tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, those trucks are going to be parked. Like, why would you do that? I'm like, we can't allow it anymore. We look weak as owners. We look weak as managers. Guys, we'll get it filled up. But, so again, long answer, a lot of information there. I don't know if it makes any sense, but
no,
man,
it does.
The companies that are winning it's all about people. What are you doing to take care of your people and love on your people? Because if you're not, man, you just can't, you can't do it on your own. Brian, I think I said that at LAL when I was out there 2 or 3 years ago. Like, you can't do this on your own unless you just want to be chucking a truck, and you can do that. And you can make a decent living, and that's totally fine. Sometimes I admire those guys. They're like, man, I got 45 yards.
Yeah.
I make, $70,000 a year, and I cut them, and I keep my stuff in my storage shed, and I'm like, shit, that seems nice.
Right.
But
right.
if you want to grow, man, you better figure out a way to attract it and retain great people and have great systems in place and ways to incentivize them and align their interest with your interest. And that makes any sense.
No, that's really, really good stuff. I implore people to, re-listen to that last, 7 or 8 minutes, because I think there's more to it. And like, the more it marinates on your brain, the more you start nodding your head going, yeah, that's true. That's right. Yep, that's right. Let me ask you this really quick, Corey. What have you noticed as an observation for people that are trying to grow to that next level? Like, where do people keep fumbling the bag as a leader? Like, I know you talked about accountability, leading people, trying to find the right person. Like, for the people that are trying to grow 1, 2, 5 million, and they keep saying, I just can't find good people, or man, this is tough. Like, any personal examples of what challenged you to maybe like lessons learned or like changes that you had to make internally to be the kind of person that had a 5, 10, $20 million company? Like, anything that you've noticed that you see people constantly missing or not focusing or prioritizing enough?
Yeah. I mean, first off, it's delegation and also just being incredibly honest with yourself and taking your ego out of it. You have to just write it down. Like, what am I good at? Where do I bring the most value to my company? If you're the best salesman, then get out and sell. If you're the best guy at operations, and you just be the operations manager. But I see the guys that fail and say, well, I'm the owner and I'm the best at everything, but you're not. You're not the best at everything. If you hate admin work and you're terrible on the phone and you don't like billing, hire someone to do that. If the guys love you in the field, be the operations manager. Very quickly on in our business, I knew where I was best at, and Matt, who joined me just as an employee, I'm like, this guy can sell better. I mean, he is so good at selling, and it's not a hard sell. He just is so good at relating to people, asking the right questions. He's a great listener, and I'm like, he's got a skill that I don't have. I'm going to stay in my lane. And Matt and I sat down numerous times and said, hey, I'm going to stay over here. This is what I run. This is what you run. And we didn't cross over. And I think a lot of owners, they still want to wear all the hats. They want to make every purchasing decision. They micromanage. And then nobody good's going to work for you. If you micromanage and you continue to overstep your boundaries, or you hire an operations manager, and every time he makes a decision, you go in there and say, no, we're not doing it that way. Mm-hmm. He's either going to quit, or he's just going to quit making decisions and be like, hey, I don't know. I go ask Brian. I don't know. Whatever I say, he's going to change it anyways. So you've got to, if you hire great people, you've got to empower them to take ownership and let them run what you hired them to do, even if it means they're going to make some mistakes. And I'm sure I've told this story to you, Brian, before. But I sat across from the guy running our mowing, and I thought I was the best mowing manager. We had 18 mowing crews in our Des Moines branch, and I'm like, nobody can run the mowing better than me. And I hired Kyle, and Kyle's running the mowing, and there'd be days that I would sit there and I'd listen to him tell guys what to do. We had route sheets, but he would say, hey, I'm going to have you guys do this, and we're going to meet up here on this large site because this is the situation. And I'd be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I just want to go over there right now. Like, no way we're doing it that way. And
Sure.
I'd let him do it.
Sure.
And I'd say, Kyle, when everybody gets out today, you got a minute? He'd come over and I'd be like, hey, walk me through why you did this with Joe and Jose and Mike and Mark. And he'd be like, well, here's what I'm thinking. Hey, they've got a special event. There's some rain moving in later. I got to make sure we get that one done. They're having an open house. I mean, he would walk and I'd be like, okay, makes sense. All right. Next time, let's think about this. Maybe try it this way. But I would let him make the decision. It's not detrimental to the company. Now, if they're going to do something that's dangerous or detrimental to the overall outcome of your client's well-being, you got to step in as an owner. But so many days I wanted to be like, hey, stop. Instead, then he would walk me through it. And 9 times out of 10, Brian, I'd be like, shit, That makes sense. It's not exactly the way I would have done it, but I get what you're saying. I didn't know that they were having an open house on Sunday at this facility. I didn't know that they were having a charity walk around this campus on Saturday, and we can't have it half done because there's a charity event going on. And so he's going to send 2 crews there, which instead of 1, because we have to get it done because maybe there's some rain, a chance of rain moving in, and whatever the case may be. But I just see guys micromanaging, and I hear it all the time when we get people come into Perfect Cut and like, yeah, I worked over here and they hired me to be an operations manager, and I was in charge of nothing. The owner still made every decision. I couldn't purchase things. My opinion wasn't valued. That's another thing. Like, listen to your guys. Sometimes they know more than we do. They're in the field every day doing the work. And if they come to you and say, hey, you know what? I think there's a better way to load mulch or whatever it may be. Like, hey, man, we're doing these mulching jobs, and I think we'd be more efficient if we did it this way. And guys are like, no, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. I'm like, hey, what now? You want to, hey, that makes sense. So you think if we bring it here and we station it first, like, yeah, I think I could save us 4 hours. Like, oh, shit, let's try it. Like, so listen to your people. They're doing the work. And it's a lot of owners like, we've been doing it this way for 20 years. I'm like, I don't make it right.
Right. Well, I heard, I read into John Maxwell or heard him say once, I love John Maxwell. I was on a John Maxwell binge for, 4 or 5 years. Everybody does it at least once in your success journey. And he's the guy. Like, when you need to start learning leadership and always, you should always have a drip of somebody like John Maxwell, or pick your leadership guru. Like actual leadership, knowledgeable dude, not, run of the mill, social media guru. John Maxwell is a really good guy. If you go to Barnes & Noble, he doesn't have a row. He has like the whole shelf, like the whole up vertical, shelf. Like, the guy's wrote more books on leadership than anybody. And I remember him saying, like, when you add good people to your team, you shouldn't have an addition to like the growth of your company. It should be a multiplication, because every single person, like, if you're a 10 leading a 9, well, let's say you're a 9 leading another 8, that 8 is leading a bunch of 7s and then a couple 4s and 5s that are, you're grooming to, be 7, 8s and stuff like that. He's like, your company, your business, your team, your organization should multiply. So I think where people, my observation, and it piggybacks on what you just said, like, when you start micromanaging people, you don't let that person start multiplying your company. You let them only grow by addition. And that's not efficient. That's not what we're trying to do with our companies. When you add an employee or a foreman,
they become overhead.
Yeah,
they become overhead and not an asset. They become overhead, and it's like, so if you're not going to let them, to your point, create a multiple, they should create a multiple to your business and growth. And if you don't let them, you're just adding overhead. Yeah. So when people say, I can't afford to get an operations manager, I can't afford a sales guy, I'm like, oh, sure you can. The right sales guy will pay for himself in tenfold.
Yes. And
but if you're gonna hire a sales guy and then not let him do his job, now he's just overhead.
And is that where you would say, Corey, where you see people, they have all this extra manpower and labor, but the company's not growing because they're just bottlenecking themselves? Because again, they don't want an organization, they want a group, and they don't really want a company that is able to grow with or without them. They just want a little mob of people that they're trying to be the queen bee for. And it's like, dude, you have to empower these people to grow the company. Like, you have to set them free. Is that kind of what you're trying to say as well?
Yeah. Just hire great people and get out of the way. When I got out of the way, we grew so much more. My people are better than me, and I have no problem saying that. I'm really good at what I'm good at, and I know what I'm good at, and I just stay focused on that. I screw everything else up. And so it's so hard for most of these owners to understand that. Like, when you hire great people, man, let them be great, and get out of the frickin' way, and let them make decisions and let them grow your company. And you might find that they're better than you, because also they're only focused on that one thing. You as an owner are focused on everything. You're worried about taxes and payroll and insurance and all these other things.
This is true.
They're focused on just sales or just operations or just billing and collecting, whatever that may be. And and then you have to pay your people. And, I pay my people really, really well because I don't want them to leave. And I want freedom, and what's it worth to you? And, people, if you try to nickel and dime, like, yeah, I could get that guy, he wants 24 an hour, but I think I can get him for 18 or 19. I don't know. You can play that game, but it doesn't really work long term. Because even if they do join you, they feel a little bit undervalued, underappreciated. They're going to give you about 80%. I'd rather just pay them full price and get 100%.
Well, and again, if you're saying my observation, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're way down the road of success than I am. But if you're saying stuff like that, it's most likely you're viewing it through the lens of you're only adding employees and your company is growing with addition and not by multiplication. And that's my point. You're like, hey, $2 more an hour. Well, I'm only getting a 1-to-1 out of this guy. And I'm thinking, well, if you pay this guy $2, $4, $5 more an hour and he's a 10 or an 8 or a 9 at what he does, this guy will not just be worth that $2 more an hour, but this guy not only will bring in 50, 80, 100, 200 grand in revenue, but he will be another person that you can build a team in a small leadership pocket around and multiply your company to grow 7 figures in the next 36 months around that guy. And I think that's where people miss it. And they're like, $2 more an hour, you're crazy. And I'm thinking that's a small investment to get this company making another $250,000 for that route. Like, what are you talking about? But again, what do I know?
Yeah,
right?
They're thinking about Friday. They're thinking about, what my payroll looks like Friday. I'm thinking about what type of individual am I getting? And if I have the right people, is that guy, that I'm going to pay a few bucks an hour more to? Is he potentially that bench strength? Is he potentially the next crew foreman? Is he potentially the next production manager? As we grow, I want those A players. And if you're looking for all just bottom tier laborers, you can have people, but again, you're not building any long-term strength, bench strength, the ability to sustain and build a great company. And it's tough. And it's also tough to really build good core values with people that really are only there for a paycheck and they don't really see and buy into the vision of the company long term.
Yeah.
Because you nickel and dimed them over $2 an hour. I just don't play those games, and it doesn't mean and I get it, guys. Like, everyone's like, you got a budget, right? You can't just pay everybody $25 an hour. But I find that next tier of people are typically worth quite a bit. They cost a little bit more, but they typically produce way more. They're better on your equipment. They're better representations of your brand and your company. They have a huge potential long-term down the road. And you can also go after higher level clients if you have higher level employees. So there's just so many things that you can do. But if you're hiring the bottom tier, I hate to say crackheads, but if you're just hiring low bottom tier people, you're going to be a bottom tier company, and it's tough.
Dude, that's from the horse's mouth, dude. That's solid advice. And I think that would help anybody that's looking to pursue, really, you can have a mob of 1 to 3, even 6, 7 guys, doing $500,000, $1 million. But if you want to put leadership in place, systems in place, an organization in the place, and you want to do 1, 2, 4, 5 million, this is just one ingredient, one element that I wanted to just kind of pick your brain on, Corey. You've been there, you've done that, and you're still in the process as well. So I know that you just always say good things, man, when we ever get you on the mic and get you on the podcast and get you at LAL. And again, I'm humbly always trying to learn from the people that I have access to. And Corey's one of the quote unquote big fish that I get access to. And Corey, I for real, genuinely can't thank you enough for pouring into our audience for the afternoon. And we'll get out of your way. Well, I know you got big fish to fry. You got a building going up. You guys are processing a couple hundred orders a day with Ballard products. So keep it growing, man.
Crazy.
Yeah,
we're busy, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Brian. And let me know if you want to get me on anytime again soon, maybe late summer. We'll talk about what's going on. Of course, we'll be out at Equip Expo and LAL and all the events coming up. We always still attend all those and try to keep ourselves engaged in the industry. And I love our industry. My entire goal is to elevate it. Shameless plug. We've got the Green Grind that drops every Tuesday. Guys, if you're looking for another podcast to jump on and listen to when you're riding around on your truck or your mower or whatever you're doing, man, we've had some really good guests on lately. And to your point, Brian, I'm still learning. I mean, there's rarely when we have a guest on, I don't write something down and highlight it and think, how can I apply that to my daily, to my life, to my business? We're all still constantly evolving and learning. Perfect Cut at almost $30 million this year is still learning. We're still trying to figure out how to be the best company we can be. I mean, so I don't think people get, there's not like, you don't graduate. And if I hear people all the time like, man, if I had that business, I wouldn't even be there. I'm like, man, I don't know if that works. Like,
That's awesome.
I don't know.
That's awesome. Heck yeah, man. Well, no, in some of the podcast episodes that you guys have, even like the most recent ones, have just been bangers. I remember you talking about them when we were in Iowa. I was able to listen to those on the airplane on the way back, and I'm like, dang, son, you guys have had some big revenue company business owners and COOs and CEOs on, and it's good stuff, man. So Green Grind Podcast, you guys got is this still a weekly show, right?
Yeah, every Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday.
Episode drops on all the channels. It's everywhere you need to find it. But yeah, we had a great one on this week talking about account management and how we manage accounts. And we've had some big guys on. We even had Matt Bowman, my partner at Perfect Cut, and man, his episode has been, I think, our most listened to, and just gives you a really good perspective into our company. But man, all he talked about was just culture and core values and people.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Don't talk about jacked up trucks and lawnmowers.
Yep.
We're all past that.
Yep. Amen to that. Well, guys, our podcast in 2023, it's real, authentic lawn care. We're trying to do the best we can to get you guys the best info to help you guys grow. Corey Ballard, if you guys have not, give them a follow. Check them out on IG, Facebook, everything in between. You guys are missing out. He's a great guy, great asset. Not only that, thank you guys if you do buy any products from, I call it like the Amazon of lawn care accessories. That's ballard-inc.com and the Brian's 10 code. Saves 10%, which I super appreciate you guys reciprocating. And Corey sponsors the podcast. He sponsored LAL last year, which we're super grateful for. So, Corey, man, thanks for pouring back into us as well. We definitely appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Brian.
All right, you bet. Well, guys, that's what we got for today's episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast.
When it comes to running a lawn and landscape business, there's always something to worry about. Are my drivers and crews doing their job? Are my clients happy? Are my trucks and machines safe? How can I make more money? Where can I save some money? With GPS Track It, you don't have to worry about it, because our software gives you a level of clarity and control over your business that you've never had. From real-time vehicle and asset tracking and optimized routing to efficiency reports and more, reach your fullest business potential. Call 866-845-1410 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to get started. That phone number and special link are in the show description. GPS Track It. Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, and one more thing. If you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you need our free email newsletter. It's delivered 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. Join our mailing list to stay connected to the world of lawn care and get exclusive access to the latest and greatest from Fullerton Unfiltered and Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Don't miss out on this opportunity to stay ahead of the curve and elevate your lawn care game. Sign up now with the link we've provided in the show description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.